Shane is a present-day entrepreneur with a vision to spread prosperity and promote equality in the digital age. As co-founder and CEO of WorkApp, Shane has a passion for helping people solve today's micro-moment problems with an all-in-one free and easy-to-use platform that puts the users first. The digital landscape continues to change the way we do almost everything, and it will be those platforms that empower users and their customers that will grow and prosper in this exciting era. Shane recognizes the need to empower people today to step up and think big. Great changes don't happen by keeping things neat and small. Over 15 years of personal development and coaching have taught Shane how to step out of his comfort zone and be creative and passionate. This is the message he empowers people with today. Shane truly believes that with the right motivation and support and a big enough dream, anyone can create a positive difference in their world and the lives of others. His passion is infectious, and he inspires everyone he comes into contact with. Please welcome Shane Wallace. Welcome, everybody, to Money 911, where we talk about health, wealth, and peace of mind. And I'm pretty excited. I'm always excited because we get to bring some amazing guests from all around the world. And we're all talking about what's going on, the shift that's happening. And before we get started, you've already heard, I know you're excited to hear Shane because I gave that great intro, but I want to make sure you subscribe, push the button below, right? Make sure, because we're downloading lots of great guests. I'm really working hard to get this out to you, and this really helps us go everywhere. So make sure you sign up, review, tell your friends, and listen, because lots of wisdom gets dropped on these shows. So it can help you navigate where we're going here in this shift. And Shane Wallace, I always ask my guests, if this was a mastermind, what would you name the class? And his title is so appropriate. It's just not only appropriate for the show, it's appropriate to where we are on the planet. Finding a way against all odds. Shane, welcome so much to Money 911.
G'day, Kris. It's great to be here with you.
Good day to you, sir. He's down under and it's 5 in the morning, right?
No, it's 8 in the morning.
8 in the
o'clock.
morning. Okay. It's a.m. there. All right.
Yep.
We're here broadcasting. But why, you tell me why, I can tell you why, but you tell me why finding a way against all odds resonates with what you're doing.
Well, when I started out, it was basically to build WorkApp. It was against all odds. It really was. I had people just say to me, no, you won't be able to do it. So what we did was we set out to build a platform that was not only completely free for the entire world, but we wanted it to be automated without any staff. We wanted to build an automation, had no staff, that was kind of like an everything app for workers and for jobs and for businesses and for buying and selling and just for everything, but without the fees. And so when I eventually got my teeth around how am I going to go about this, and I had a team in place, it was against all odds, because even they were saying, well, look, it's not really been done before, and you've got to be able to fund this thing. And I thought it was going to cost something around about $100,000, maybe $200,000. Long story short, we're up to $7 million right now. And I've funded that all myself over the last decade. And along the way, it was a lot of tough going. And it's a good story about that, but I'll let you ask some questions.
Yeah, that's fabulous. WorkApp. Okay, so for those of you that don't know what that is, why don't you tell us a little bit of, how it helps people solve micro moments,
Sure. Well, when we started out, it was actually my brother and myself. We started out. Neither of us are techs. Myself, I don't even own a computer still today. I don't touch computers. I've got a smartphone, obviously. So I really didn't know that I couldn't do it. They say ignorance is bliss. Well, I was blissfully ignorant to the path that lay ahead. And so we employed a backyard hacker, if you want to call it that. A computer dude is what I used to call them. And we set out to build the first app that gave you the closest active worker to the job site. So like an Uber for workers. So, you know, when someone needs a worker and you need them now, you get on Work App and you go into the worker section and it gives you the closest active worker that's available now. Wow. And that's how the platform started out. So very unique, but I wanted it to be free for the workers. I wanted it to be free for the tradie that's looking for the worker or the home owners that's looking for the worker. I just wanted it to be completely free. So, you know, obviously the questions I would get was, well, how is it going to make money? And my initial reaction for the first 4 years, Kris, was let's not worry about that. Let's just not worry about how it's going to make money. Let's just get the world on it and then we'll work out a way of it being able to make money. First and foremost, it's got to be good for the world. And so the first 2 years of trying to build this thing and the first couple $100,000 wasted trying to build Work App, it failed dismally. And along the way of building workers on there, I decided, look, it needs to be more than that. It needs to have job applications and job vacancies on there. It needs to have businesses, like a business listing platform. It needs to have automotive and real estate. It needs to have events. It needs to have everything. So my thinking was way out in the stars. And like I say, I didn't know I couldn't do it. So I decided, right, I'm going to build it. I'm going to build an app that is free for the world, that gives you the closest active massage therapist, the closest active mechanic, the closest active anything. And I don't want them to pay to rank at the top like they do on those major platforms. Those who pay the most get to the top. Those who can't pay are right down the bottom. Well, not with Work App. In the search results of Work App, because it's the closest instead of who pays, and they can't pay, no one can pay, it makes it free and fair for everyone. So now the little hairdresser and the small massage therapist that can't pay, you know, thousands of dollars in Google AdWords are now at the top of the search if they're the closest. And that was the whole premise of building Work App, is for the little guy. I wanted this to be for the little guy right around the world instead of the ones with the deepest pockets.
Fabulous. That's fabulous. Really. That's, you know, that's how it all should work. And you know, you managed to build the first software automation without any staff or office building. And you downloaded, you know, raised $7 million. What kind of challenges? I mean, are you techie? How did?
No tech, zero tech. Like I say, I didn't know I couldn't. Well, the whole thing was a huge challenge. So when we did get a tech on board and we started to develop it, and that first 2 year period went by, and we had it live in the App Store and in the Play Store. And we also had Work App up and running on the website as well, which is workapp.world. And I decided, well, look, I'm going to do a competition in India, because I was really targeting the Indian market, because I know there's lots of them. And I know that the closest active tuk-tuk or the closest active worker would really be a good thing for them, I thought, you know. So I thought, let's target the Indian market to begin with, as well as Australia and the world. I was really just going out to anyone. But specifically, I did a competition in India and I gave away some iPads. And too many Indians joined. Too many people joined, and it crashed the server. Yeah, and because the product wasn't very good either, because it would glitch and it would stop and it would just freeze, and it was quite horrible as an app, really. But you know, I didn't know that at the time. I was, you know, chest out thinking, hey, look at this app that I finally got on the market type thing. So when it failed, I decided to go and find some pros, and I did a bit of hunting around, and through some trusted people, I got onto some professional developers. And I sat down with them and I said, look, you know, this is what we're building. It's an everything app. Like it's automotive, it's real estate, it's businesses, it's jobs, it's workers, it's everything for the people, and it's free. And they went, okay, so how's it going to make money? And I said, well, everyone keeps asking that. It's the wrong thing to worry about. I'm telling you, it's just the wrong thing to worry about. They said, yeah, well, you know, but these things cost a lot of money to build, you know. And I said, well, can't you fix the one that I've built? And they said, no, what you've built is no good. You haven't done it from word go. It's no good. You've got to basically throw that code out and start again. I said, oh, okay. And because I've spent like $200,000 at that point, I said, oh, really? I said, okay, well, how long is it going to take then for you guys to build it? And me, in my naivety, like I say, ignorance is bliss, I'm thinking they're going to say 2 months, 3 months, right? Because these are pros, right? And he said, well, what you're building, I would have to say at least a couple of years. And I said, couple of years? You got to be kidding. He said, no, you want to be all of these platforms all in one without a staff member, and all these platforms you speak of are all worth billions of dollars, and you want to be like them all in one with no staff, just automated. He said, you're not building that for a couple hundred grand. And I said, oh, okay, well, how much? He said, oh, look, don't hold me to it, but let's just say 2 million for now. And I said, oh, okay. Oh, I wasn't thinking that. I said, well, how long would it take you? And he said, oh, well, let's just say a couple of years. Let's just say 2 years and 2 million to basically get what you're wanting to start, just to start. Then there'll be development beyond that. I said, oh, okay, no worries. And so straight away I'm sat back on my chair in this meeting, and he said, look, we like the idea of what you're trying to build. We would like to have a go at it with you, but you got to be able to fund it. Can you fund it? And I said, you know what? I'll go and make a few phone calls and you just start the paperwork. How about that? And do you know, Chris, I had no money left. I'd spent all my money. I think I had like $1,000 left. And so I said, I left the meeting and I thought, I'm going to go to the pub for a schooner. I'm going to go to the pub for a beer and I'm going to have a think about this. And so that's exactly what I did. I went straight to the pub. This is midday, about 1 o'clock, it's 12:30, 1 o'clock. I went to the pub. There was no one in the pub by this one person, this one fellow. And I went and got my beer and I looked up and he's smiling at me. He's all smiles, this bloke. And I thought, oh, I'll go and have a chat to this fella. And I've always got my work app shirt on 24/7, even as pajamas. I've got like 35 shirts. I just wear one a day every day. I could go a couple of weeks without washing. So I love my work app shirts. So I got my work app shirt on and I go over to this fella and say hello. And it's only ever seconds, if not minutes, before I'm telling someone about work app because, you know, I'm just obsessed basically. And I'm telling this fellow about work app and he says, oh, I'd like to invest in that. Can I invest? He says. Yeah. And this bloke's got a flannelette shirt on. He's got his jeans all ripped, like true tradie type fellow, right?
Right.
And I said, yes. He said, well, how much? How much? He's pressing me and I'm thinking, well, I know I can't say 2 million to you just by looking at you. So I'm thinking, so I plucked a figure and I said, 10 grand. Well, you know what? This bloke went out to the car. He went and got 10 grand out of the car in cash. Remember the good old days? Remember the good old days where there's cash?
Right, cash, right?
This is 10 years ago. And he came in and he goes, boom, and he puts 10 grand in my hand. Wow. And I went, geez, can I ask where this come from? Is that okay? And he said, yeah, I just finished a big job up the road. I just built a deck for a lady. That's half of it. He said, I'll take the other half home to my wife, and with this half, I'll invest in your company. How about that?
Whoa.
And I couldn't believe it. Oh, this is a story that's, you know, one for the books. And so I says, okay, well, great. We had another beer and I said, look, how about I meet you down here tomorrow for a receipt? I've got to bring you a receipt, right? And I quickly left there and I jumped on the phone to the solicitor and said, look, this is what's happened. You know, is this okay? Am I allowed to do this? And he said, yeah, that's all right. We'll put some stuff in place that it's fine. But, yeah, that's okay. You can raise capital if you're speaking with people. I said, okay, cool. So I went back there the next day and I gave him his receipt. And straight away he takes me up to these 3 fellas. He says, come with me. Tell them about it, he says. And I tell him. And then he stops me. He says, right, you boys, it's 10 grand each. Are you in or you out? And they all looked at each other and went, yep, we're in. Whoa. So, boom, there's another 30 grand. Well, long story short, within another 3 days, 9 of his friends had given me 10 grand.
Jeez.
So I had 100 grand inside a week. And I'm thinking, wow, maybe this is meant to be.
Yeah.
So I went back to the developers and I threw it down in front of them. And I said, there you go. Let's build this app, you reckon? Come on, let's go. And so we did. And they said to me, he said, oh, okay, you're serious. And I said, yeah, I'm very serious. He said, do you know you're going to have to come up with this every month? And I said, well, I've got a whole month to worry about that. Let's go. And so he said, well, how are you going to do it? Like I said, don't worry about that. I'll worry about that. You worry about getting this whole tech thing cracking, hey? And he said, well, another problem you've got, he said, you've got to be able to test it. How are you going to test this? You've got to be, generally you have to have all the different devices and a proper test environment. I said, no, I'll be able to test it. I've got a way of testing it. And he said, okay. So what I started to do is I just started to go to the pub every day. That was my work. That was my office. I would go into the pubs. I would say to people, look, I'm building this app. It's completely free. Can I please download it on your device because I'm testing it? People would say yes. So I would download it on their device. It would glitch because it always glitched. It glitched every day for another 5 years. It just glitched. It was just, that's what happens with these things, right? They glitch.
Right.
And so what I would do is get it on their phone, and then I would press until it glitched, and then I would video the glitch, take the model number of the phone and send that to my developers. And that's how I developed WorkApp. And for everyone that let me put it on their phone, I asked them for 10 grand. Every 10 person I asked, one said yes. So I asked 100 people every month, and I got 100 grand every month for 5 years, every month, without fail, in the pubs, building WorkApp, testing WorkApp, and funding WorkApp in the pubs in Australia. And that's how I funded it. That's how I funded it and built it.
Man, it's amazing. That's like really amazing because it's like meant to be, right? I call it a
Meant to
God
be.
thing, right? When it's meant to be. And
Well,
right?
that was fine on the first year.
Oh, that was the
because
first year.
I was pumped. I was pumped.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is working. I'm doing it. I'm
Right.
building it. It's okay. It's going to be fine.
Right.
Well, it cost $1 million that year. It cost $1 million the next year. 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 Because we had like 15 developers working full time to develop the protocol and everything. The back end. There's a lot of back end developments taking place in WorkApp for it to be what it is today. And it's got a little ways to go as well from a development standpoint, because you're always working on these things. But these days I don't need 15 developers. These days I've got a few that are shareholders in the company that are working along, and we sort of just chip away at it now. We just bubble away at it. It doesn't cost 100 grand a month anymore, but it did for years. And it was such a hard thing to do, to just keep going and keep raising that capital. And I had to keep finding people. And, I fished out just about every pub in the areas within 100 Ks of where I was, because I was going to the pub every day with the intention, I'm testing the app and I'm finding 10 grand. I'm testing the app and I'm finding 10 grand. And that was just my mantra. Right. I'd even sit in the car before I went in, because I'd be there by midday, and I'd be psyching myself up because, not only am I about to go and drink a lot of beer, which is not healthy for anyone, because there's no way people are giving you money in the pubs unless you're going to drink with them, right? But I really had to have the game face on. I tried raising capital in networking rooms. I tried raising capital from sophisticated investors. Couldn't do it. At the pub, all day, every day.
That's crazy.
And the good thing was the pub was where I was able to develop it, because you can't test it's so hard to test these things and get it running on the Huawei's and the Samsungs and the all of the Android devices,
right? And
the cracked ones and the broken ones and the submerged underwater ones. Well, you know where you find them? At the pub.
At the pub, right?
Yeah.
That is great. Certainly, if you've written a book about this, is really.
I probably will do a book eventually, because, like I say, this is 10 years now, and
this is good.
It became against all odds in the end. It really did. About year 5, because we're 10 years in now.
Okay.
At the year 5, I really only just had it working, and it wasn't very good still. And I'm like, man, this is so hard building these things. Like, if I had known this when I started, I probably wouldn't have done it. And this is when I say ignorance is bliss. You can't handle the truth. If I had known at the start, look, it's going to take about 10 years and cost $7 million to actually get this thing functioning properly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do it. You'd just think, oh, no, I can't do that.
Right.
But here we are, and too far to turn back now.
Yeah, I can't turn back now. Do you can I ask how many people use it, or is it like...
Well, we've got 400,000 there so far. That's come on and visited the platform, unique to visitors. We get about 10,000 in any 1 month come on it. So the numbers are starting to get there. It's one of the things that I realised over the years is I just couldn't make it go any faster, no matter how hard I tried to make it go faster.
Right.
And I didn't have that. The money that I raised, I spent as I raised it.
Inside of the product, right?
Yeah, just developing. Yeah, I've lived on the sniff of an oily rag for 10 years.
Yeah.
driving a dunga car and not having a lot of money to live on because
Right.
it was just all going into work app. It was quite a big sacrifice,
Yeah.
But as I'd raise it, I'd have to pay a bill with it, and then I'd raise it and pay a bill with it. And
Right.
so every single month, I would only just make it with a day to go, and then start again for the next month, and I would just make it. And I've basically been broke for 10 years building this app that's going to be worth a lot of money eventually and make a lot of money eventually. But once again, I wanted it to be for the people, not this money generator. It has to be for the people. And when we get that part right, it will then make money as a byproduct, is what I thought. You know?
That's a perfect positioning. If you have that, it'll be blessed. It'll just blow up, right?
Yes.
You really haven't even gotten into the marketing world.
No.
Not at all. That's just...
No, I don't even market.
We don't even market. It's just people that found it.
Yeah.
That's really fabulous. So, your passion is like infectious, and you probably inspire, you come into the pub, right? You inspire everybody by, your faith.
Being excited, just being excited, which I genuinely am, and I genuinely was. Every single day I went there, very excited. There was a really, really cool service. It's called Zero Drivers, because I would have a lot of beers. I don't even drink these days too, by the way. I'm non-alcoholic. I haven't drunk for a year now, and I've given up for the rest of my life now.
Health is wealth.
And I drank so much developing this thing and building this thing. It was crazy amount of. Well, it was actually 10 beers to get 10 grand is what I put it down, and 10 people. So every 10 person that I asked, one said yes, and I had to drink 10 beers a day every day, and sometimes.
Oh boy.
And there's a service called Zero Drivers, and what you would do is ring them, and 2 people would turn up in a car, and one would hop in your car and drive it home, and then drop you in the car home. And because every single person that would come and drive me home, I would be hitting them up for 10 grand, but I'd be off me head at the time trying to get them for 10 grand.
Yeah. Your innocence is so sweet, because you're like, you're not even thinking of the negative of you just, hey, do you have 10 grand for this great app?
Well, in the end, I had to ask everyone. I came to the conclusion I have to just let go of the fear and the worry about what they're going to think about me. I just have to ask everyone that I come into contact with.
Ask for what
and I basically did. I just asked everyone without fail. If you were there for longer than 1 minute with me, you're getting asked, basically.
Right. Ask for what you have need of. What advice, just as a little side note, do you give people? There's a lot of people that aren't like, I'm like you. I'm very motivated. I have an assignment, and I know that I'm supposed to deliver, my gifts, and it just gets me up early, and it's just so wonderful to be alive, even though whatever's going on, it gives you that passion and purpose. But a lot of people out there are really struggling to stay motivated and inspired. What would you share? How would you share that? Your inspiration with them?
Well, it's hard, but you've really just got to find a place within you. You've got to find something you want. It's got to be something that you really want, that you're willing to do more than you would normally do. If it's just something that's like, I could have it, or I could take it or leave it, then it's going to be hard for you to motivate yourself to really go beyond the call of duty, which is what I say. You've got to be willing to go beyond the call of duty for what you want.
Right.
And putting it in place. Like, I used to actually trick my mind, because I've been into mind training now for probably 2 decades, I meditate every day, and our minds are software, right? We're just basically walking hard drives. That's what we are. We're literally walking hard drives, and you can program it for stuff, and you got to be careful not to program it with the wrong stuff, which is unfortunately what a lot of it has happened to us over the years from mainstream media, TV, just all the bad things you might have seen growing up. It's programming. So first you've got to deprogram yourself. You've got to delete the files, and you've got to put new files in. And one of the things that I used to say as it was hard, like every day is like, I've got to go and find another 10 grand. I've got to get 10 grand a day. I've got to get 10 grand a day. And you don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like going to the pub and doing this, right? But I used to just say to myself, what if the survival of humanity was relying on it? Like, just think about that for a second.
That's
what if like, just, you're in the Matrix and the survival of humanity is actually reliant upon this. Could you do it then? And I'm like, I could do it then.
Yeah.
Well, just do it then. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I was just like, shape myself up and shake it off and let's go. And then I'd go. So you've really got to work with your own mind, because we defeat ourselves.
Yes.
In life.
Yes. That's
it's not others that defeat us. It's us defeating ourselves, So if you can defeat yourself, you can also be your best support as well.
That's right.
But it takes work. It just takes work to do.
It does. And you got to be at it every day, And with the right motivation and support, I believe anybody with that attitude can change the world. And
absolutely.
Right? And we will. And there will be peace on earth.
Well, the world is changing before our very eyes. And although things are perceived and seemingly very bad currently throughout the world, I liken it to when I was young and Mum used to say, go and clean your room. And, mate, I would make it so messy to get it clean. I couldn't clean it without absolutely tearing through it like a whirlwind. And that's what I'm telling right now is to clean up an area, first it has to become messy. And right now it's messy, which is hopefully soon it's going to be clean after the mess.
That's a nice way to look at it. We got to clean our room here on Earth.
That's right. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And the new one will resurrect right out of the old one. That's what I see for sure.
That's it. Yep.
And as we're going through the transition and, being in the world but not of and working and, doing, what would you say, what's the most important quality for an entrepreneur to have to get through, like you say, finding a way against all odds? Because that's the energy. There's like one attack after another, and you have to, be almost do Tai Chi or something to, keep it up, stay positive, be grateful, thank God for everything, whatever you do in your prayer time, right? What would you say? Yep. What would you tell people that?
Well, like I say, you've got to find a way of it being worth it for yourself. You've got to identify what you're going to gain from doing it and what you're going to lose from not doing it. You've really got to weigh those two things up. That's what I used to do. Because when you weigh up, the feelings behind what you're going to lose against the feelings behind what you're going to gain, hopefully there's a big parity there, and you can lean toward doing the action. And you've got to be willing to be scared. Like, I've been scared for 10 years. Like, I mean, literally scared, scared that this will fail, scared that, it's if it fails, $7 million, I've got 600 shareholders,
Yeah.
That's a scary thing type thing, So fear is one of those things that you've got to be able to overcome. But it's the excitement factor that wins the race. For me, my fear is there, but my excitement is there. And as long as you're more excited than you are fearful, then you'll find a way. If it's the opposite way, if your fear's there and your excitement's there, you're out. You won't do it. The fear wins. The excitement's got to beat the fear. So you've got to find a way of being excited. You've got to look for the attributes and the reasons and the outcomes. You've got to put them into your mind every day, and you literally got to infuse that into your mind, because it's those reasons and those outcomes that'll make you more excited than the fear levels. To say fear is not a thing, and fear's a thing. Even in good entrepreneurs, I don't care who they are, I reckon they're fibbing if they don't say that they experience fear. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it can be a crippling thing, but if you do the work and you meditate on the aspects of what you're going to gain out of it and find that way of being excited, and every day you've got to follow your highest excitement too. I follow one of the channels called Bashar, and I've followed him now for he channels an entity off world, and but I really resonate with the information that comes through. And I've been probably 15 years. I've been doing a lot of work on Bashar, and he has a thing where he says, follow your highest excitement in any one day, whatever that is, even if it's not conducive toward going toward your goal. If it's exciting you that day, you should do that, because the synchronicities that come from the left field and the edges of you following that excitement
Hmm.
often happens. And so that's what I would do, basically. I mean, not just going to the pub. I would go to all sorts of places. I would just get up and try and just find somewhere to go. You know what? Most days I just had nowhere to go.
Right.
When I'd leave the house and my wife would go, okay, bye, I'm going to work now. And I would have nowhere to go. So I'm going to work with nowhere to go. I'm going to go and
Yeah.
find somewhere. What am I looking for? Someone to download the app onto their phone. I'm looking for someone to download the app onto their phone because it's free, and I'm going to get someone to say yes to that today, which means I'm going to be able to find a glitch for sure. And I need to do that. And I'm going to ask them for 10 grand. And so daily I was just going out. Going out
Right.
with nowhere to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, the fear, if you learn how to use the fear to motivate you, right? And you leap past the fear, then that's the energy that gets you, like you said, above it. And then the fear is like a propulsion because it keeps pushing you forward. And I really resonated when you said, like I do something really special. I'm not like a financial planner that you got to risk your money to make money and put you in the gamble the stock market. I show people how to crash proof their finances and have safe places and healthy money. Well, what I do is so unique, and I've done it for 3 decades. And I had the same thought as you. It's like, what, because I could, I'm working retired, okay, so I could just like go sit on an island, but the spirit's calling me like, what if I could help one person or meet someone? And I do. Every day I meet, widows and widowers and people alone and people struggling, that I got a gift that I can share with them. That's the motivator, right? That I could help somebody, and instead of just myself. And so that's so inspiring, and I think that's what we have in common, and that's really the success strategy, that really why your deal is also where your come from is, because you could have the same concept, but you wanted to help everybody. It's kind of where I came from with what I did. I didn't
Yep.
really think about charging for it. I have people that are going, you didn't charge? Like,
Yep.
you just share your things with people. Well, what
Yep.
goes around comes around. I mean, I know
That's right.
that, right? It's the
Yep.
cosmic way of the,
Well, and
right?
there's one way someone can do something. If they want an action item to do and you don't know what you can do, just go find someone to help that day.
That's
If
right.
you just go and find someone to help that day, whether it's a little old lady, whether it's a little old man, or whether it's just someone somewhere, a friend, if you just find someone to help, the universe ends up
That's
just
right.
rewarding you. And you can't explain it.
Yep.
You don't know how,
That's
and
right.
you can't expect it. But when you don't expect it and you just go out
Mhm.
there and trust, it happens. It's just
It's
always what happens.
it's
Find someone to help,
amazing.
and
Yeah.
it's magic.
Yeah.
It's the magic that we're supposed to be living from,
We're
is
supposed
going
to
out
be
and
living
helping each
that
other.
way.
Yes.
It reminds me when in my youth, in the 60s and 70s, I literally, I was in University of Santa Cruz, and I literally left that. And this was when the God Jesus revolution was going on. All these people were seeking God, and there were gurus and all these. And I was studying all these religions, and I literally hit the road with brothers and sisters. Were walking white robe, bare feet, left the world, took their driver's license up, cut it up, and lived like Christ 2,000 years ago, totally in faith. Didn't work for money, didn't drive, didn't
Yep.
were nomadic,
Yep.
non-violent, non-materialistic, didn't work for money. And we went north in the summer and south and we just trust the spirit. We never went hungry. We'd walk in the cities and people say, I saw you in a dream, and I'd open my mouth and the right words would come out, right? And
Yep.
it's all the spirit connections. That's how we're supposed to live,
Yep.
ecstatic. And as you think it, when you become, your heart and mind come together, it
Yep.
manifests. It's like,
Yep.
that's normal. The miracles
Yep.
should be normal, don't you think?
Yes. That absolutely.
It's
Miracles should be normal. Yep.
right.
100%.
That's it right there. There's another show we can do. Miracles should be normal.
Yep.
Tell me what you think, because there's a lot of conversation about the digital world and the
Yep.
AI. What do you think
Yep.
the future is in this digital world?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see AI as a good thing, not a bad thing. Um, Once again, it's like, the whole one world government. One world government's not a bad thing if the people that are running it at the top are good people. that's a good thing. One world government's really bad if the people that are at the top are running it are not very good people and not nice to our children and not nice to what goes on. So
right,
it can go both ways, and it's the same with AI. You know, the analogy is fire. Fire can cook the man's food, and it can also cook the man.
yes,
You know,
exactly.
it can nourish and feed the person to grow and thrive, and it can also cook the person.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at with AI. So I can see where treading carefully is going to be a thing in the future. But what I'm actually doing with WorkApp and what I'm proposing to do with WorkApp in the coming sort of years is have AI run the back end of WorkApp instead of a person.
Yeah.
Because they've got a thing now called distributed AI where essentially you get to program the AI unit, right? And so what I'm planning on doing is programming the AI unit with my morals and with my sort of aspirations for the world to run the back end of WorkApp.
Perfect.
I want it kept really clean from a community standpoint, and I want it fair for the people. I don't want any algorithms blocking people to try and extract money out of them, which is what these other platforms do, unfortunately. You know, and the little guy just gets shunned down, and the big guys get to form bigger and bigger. And WorkApp's opposite. WorkApp is for the little guy, and how we're going to make money. It's a good. I can answer the question now. How's WorkApp going to make money? Because it still hasn't made any money. It's still 10 years on, and it still doesn't make any money. But it's about to, because I'm just starting to get the numbers there now. So I've put a banner ad model in place. So banner ads, which is pretty simple. I call them WorkApp billboards. The first banner ad starts in number 7th position, not at the top. At the top are the free ones for the little guys. And then number 7 is the first banner ad. And then the next 6, free for the little guy. And then number 14, banner ad. And then the next 6, free. And then the number 21, banner ad. So in every 7, I've put banner ads. And I'm going to aim them at Toyota and Nike and Puma and Rolex, the big guys. I want the big guys to pay. And they happily pay the big guys because they're in the game to find eyeballs to market to.
Right.
So I'm not going to charge the little guy, ever. No money. Just free.
That's
in the search results, it's the closest. No one gets to pay.
That's great.
But the banner ads will get the big guys buying those banner ads.
There you go.
And the bigger we grow, the more they'll pay. You know, and we can sell those banner ads in every postcode worldwide.
Yeah.
That's a lot of banner ads, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the basic plan of how I'm going to get it generating revenue. But these days, because it's so lean, because we're in automation and I don't have staff, it's actually pretty easy to run now. You know, I'm glad I stuck with my vision. I knew one day if I just kept going and I just kept going, I didn't know how to keep going for 10 years, but if I just kept going, it would get to a point where it's very manageable and it's very easy. I don't have staff to worry about, you know. I travel in a bus full time. My wife and I, we're in a big 40-foot coach. So we live in a bus and we live, Australia is my backyard, as you can see right now. I'm out in the wilderness in my backyard.
Perfect.
And we just travel and promote WorkApp now. And my plan is to basically do that in America as well, have a big bus set up over there, and we're just going to promote WorkApp to all the people of the world. And my intention is to have the entire world using WorkApp in the next decade. Everyone.
Right. Amen.
The whole world.
Yeah. Nice. Well, tell everybody where they can contact you and get on the WorkApp, probably.
Yeah, just download it from the app stores.
That's it, right?
One word. You can see the logo. One word. Yeah, download it from the Play Store or the App Store. The web's workapp.world on the web. So I just found a little issue on Windows 11 last night. I've got to get fixed today. There's always something with this software development thing.
I'm sure.
It's not easy. It is far from easy, you know, building these things, but it is pretty stable these days. It hardly glitches. The app is really good. It rarely glitches at all. So it's nice and stable. And as I say, back to the AI thing, I think AI is good personally, and I can see where it could be bad, definitely, but with good leadership, with good global leadership that care about the people, hopefully we end up with that. Then AI will be fine. If it's only if we end up with the leadership that we've got a war going on, as you know, and it's not just the Ukraine thing, it's the world wars happening.
That's right.
And it's a fight between good and evil.
That's it.
And you know, fingers crossed, good prevails.
That's right.
And we end up with strong leadership that's for the people. then I have no hesitation in saying AI will be a really good thing. And I can have AI these days, it's come that far, run the back end of WorkApp. So I can have an AI as the moderator, and it's going to be fair for everyone, and it'll keep the community standards very, very high and clean. And instead of having to pay a person, I'll just build this AI unit, and it's probably only going to cost maybe $2 million. I don't really know. I haven't looked too much into it now, but I'm watching how fast the AI revolution is coming on.
Really fast.
And like everything, as it gets more and more in, it gets cheaper and cheaper as well.
Yeah.
So, and even with having it in different languages, I know there's some bolt-on software pieces now that I can have WorkApp in every language right around the world.
Fabulous.
You know?
Yeah. Nice.
And easy. It's going to be easy. So I'll have it in all the languages. I'll have an AI machine running the back end instead of a person. And I could just keep my little dev team in place, and we just keep developing it for the people. And beautiful. Eventually it's going to make a lot of money. And but like I say, I'm still not even focused on the money. People say, I don't know how you've done it for 10 years and not worried about how it's going to make money. And it's like, well, it's not that I'm not worried about it. It's just that it can't be the focus. The focus has to be this being for the people. It has to actually help the people to thrive. I've had a mission statement from day one, and that is to provide a way for people to prosper with equal opportunity in the digital age. That's WorkApp's mission statement. And I've stuck to it. I've just stuck to it, laser focused on that mission. And I know by achieving that mission, it'll make squillions of bucks. Of course it will. You know, Holden and Toyota and Dodge Ram and Volvo and Volkswagen and Rolex, they'll all want to buy those banner ads eventually.
That's absolutely.
So I'll just let that take care of itself and just keep focused on this being the platform for the people. And maybe I might float the company in years to come. Maybe I might float it because I feel like if I did an IPO with WorkApp and really aimed it at the little guy, because I want the world to take ownership of WorkApp. I want the actual world to own it, not me. Yeah. Let's have the world own it. Nice. It's for the world. It's free for the world.
There's
no algorithm squashing it. It's exactly. No. So I think I might sell it to the world through an IPO eventually.
There you go. For the people. That is beautiful. Yep. Free for the people.
Free for the people.
That's beautiful. Shane Wallace, WorkApp. Really fabulous to have you on today and listen to your heart and your WorkApp aptitudes. Beautiful. And we'll look for. Yes, thank you so much for being here. We will blast this out everywhere. And everybody listening, share this because, hey, you can't get any clearer than a heart-motivated entrepreneur that is for the people, and it's free, right?
That's right. And it's staying free.
And it's staying free. You're not going to change if you get all these whatevers, right?
I'm going to develop a premium service where people will be able to pay, but they will be getting in addition to the free service of what you get now, and no one will ever pay to list. What WorkApp's become is a business listing platform for the world. There's lots of businesses on there now, and they come in their droves pretty much every day now. New businesses are listing on there, and they're going to stay in the search results for free and sell their goods and drive traffic to their website. No cost. It's staying that way. But I will develop a premium service on top of that. Right. And then it can make more money.
Okay. Perfect.
Eventually.
Eventually. And you keep smiling and you're living the dream. It's not something you're
living the dream. Right? I love my country and I love your country. I really do love America and Australia, to be honest. You know, like I said to you to begin with, most of us here feel like whoever's running America is running Australia. That's the average Aussie feels that, you know. So that's why we get so invested in the elections and everything over there, is because we know it's dictating what's going to go on here as well, type thing, you know. So let's make our countries great again, I say.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Totally agree. And we're probably going to have you back again because it's been so fun. Absolutely. Thank you, Shane.
Chris. Thank you.
All right. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithchrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.
The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power to bless lives inside of all.